So again, good morning. And well, today I just list the sort of content that what we're gonna talk about today. So first, I'm trying to recap what we have learned and add a few things that I think we want to make it more complete. And then the second one is I sent you an email the other day that would you pick one priority issues in your basin, just one or two if you want, but one is enough. Just say something for a few minutes, then discuss among us, see what we can share other experience in solving the issues, if there are any. Well, others will be taken up by myself, and then, you know, I don't know whether we can cover all these, but we try our best depending on the time, and we will end about probably about 11:30, and then there'll be a closing ceremony. Well, virtual closing ceremony through the online system by the dean. Okay, so I recall what we had been doing for the past 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks by now. So I hope we covered most of these, you know, all the essential components for basin management. We didn't talk about data management explicitly, but most of that is included in geoinformatics. Impact assessments also included in many other topics, like when we talk about ecology and so forth. Only the pandemic that we didn't mention much, but all the rest have been covered in the lecture. But what I would like to add is something, and probably emphasize a little bit, that been discussed in a few lectures, in a few sessions, about the governance of the basin. I think this is applicable to almost every country, but, you know, with different setting. In Thailand, as you already know, we've been talking about this. We divide the whole country into, since we have a lot of diversified geography, diversified ecosystem. So we divide all this into 22 basins with different priority issues in each basin. In each basin, the way this division of in 22 basins is stipulated by the Water Resource Act, which is enacted only a few years ago. And then under this, we have what we call Office of National Water Resource, overseeing all activities to do with water use, water consumption, as well as water quality of the 22 basins. In each basin, it is also stipulated that there will be a committee, the basin committee, comprising of the government officials and some number of people in the basin, to emphasize the public participation in the governance of the basin. That would be something to debate among the, well, and there'll be adaptation of, there'll be some amendment of the law in years to come, which is expected. First is the group of people, the group of people representative for in the Basin Committee, which comprise now the industrial group, the agricultural group, and the domestic user group. There will be no problem about industrial group, because industrial people always have a group already. You know, they have board of industry in almost every well, they are in every provinces. But this basins, the basin boundary is not coincide with the province, but there are the board of industry which can work together between one or two provinces. The problem is there is also no problem about domestic use, because domestic users include, you know, places like hotels and companies and all that. So they also, these people already have some connections and some cooperations which can form group easily. The problem is the agricultural groups. Most of the smallholders, probably the poorer farmers who have, they claim that they have no rights in governing the water resource. So most of the representative now tends to be the richer farmers, the large scale farmers, and this will cause a problem of inequality of the right to govern the water resources, which is still in the debates. So that would call for amendment in some years to come. Another problem is the power of this water users group. As mentioned also yesterday, I think that there would be a transboundary, no, not transboundary, transbasin diversion, water diversion, and the people, the water user group in this basin does not have the right does not have the absolute right to govern the water resource in their basin, because it is stipulated in the law that they can only propose the ideas to the national board. They cannot stop the project, or they cannot change the national projects, but they can only propose the ideas, collect the ideas and propose, but they cannot make decision. That again being debated. But as a current law, that's all they can do. Another problem is which is happening now in our basin. The water, see the reason why we have Office of National Water Resource is because we consider water is the critical issues that need a lot of cooperation, integration between each department. But again, the law, the Water Resource Act, still focus on water only, you know, water quantity, water quality, that's it. But in Songkla Lake, or in many other basins, in Songkla Lake Basin in particular, we regard water as not just the water per se, but water would relate to fisheries. Water would relate to wetlands. The water is linked to many other things, which is actually it's supposed to be included in the governing of water resource, but it seemed to be beyond the Office of Water Resource can do, because they have to work with the Department of Fisheries, Department of Forestry, and so forth. So this is another problem so there are a few problems that need to be discussed and probably waiting for amendment. But as I said, this has been a big effort to be able to develop this law, the Water Resource Act. It's been proposed for more than 20 years. So, and just enacted 3 years ago. So now we just wait for a few more years to study the impacts of the output and the outcome, which will remain to be seen. Well, one thing I want to discuss with you a bit here, back to the governing of the water resource, as I said, stipulated by law about that water user committee, as I said, but that's that's by law. But in Songkhla Lake in particular, as I mentioned, we consider water, I'm sorry about the letter, it probably has something to do with the font in the picture. But anyway, I think I can explain to you. So we regarded water as some entity that linked with many other things, including fisheries, including agriculture and shrimp farms and everything, wetlands included. So the people of the basin try to propose this structure we call it SLB, Songkhla Lake Basin Board, a non-statutory, we consider this a non-statutory organization. And we propose that we try to get a representative from each group of stakeholders. You know, this fishery, sorry, the Y drops here. Fisheries and paddy farmers, shrimp farmers, and upstream, not United States, but upstream, downstream, upstream forest people, and development group operators, you know, like tour operators and others, and these different government offices, universities, schools, NGOs. This has been proposed for many years, but again, it's still non-statutory. It's not accepted by the government yet. But this is a people sector in 3 provinces. We managed up to now. We managed to get this group together. You know, these are people's group: the fishery, the paddy rice, the paddy farmers, the shrimp farmers, the forest. This had been worked together for many years, and their voices was already heard by at least the local governors, and been a lot of their problems been solved. A lot of the ideas have been adopted by local government, and of course university people, schools, and NGOs supporting the group of people. So these group seem to be working together for some time. The other problem is trying to get the other groups together. So the SLB board have been working quite well, but unofficially. So if there are some problems, they got together and proposed to the local government for some remediation of the problems. But we hopefully that we try to get by this new law try to convince other people that what the people do, supported by local academics, will actually help the government in solving conflicts between the people who try to use the common resources. So their work, actually this voluntary work, it's actually they do it for, and there have been a lot of proof, like the people or set up a conservation zone in Songkhla Lake and seem to be very successful. Conservation zone, actually some of them even better than what set up by the government, because they really care about it, because they know that it's their own piece of work. Now, before I go to this next thing of the limits to growth model, I would like to, I better go back to the second point that I like to discuss with you. The one that I would like you to pick up, that identify the priority issues in your basin and share with us, and then I come back to limit to growth later. Andต่อไปที่เห็นหน้าผม Okay. Okay. Hi, good morning, Suwan. Tumai already here. Oh, everybody is here. Ubalek, look back. Look back. You what? 8 o'clock in the morning. Hello, look back.
Yes.
Good morning.
7 o'clock. Good morning.
Still 7 o'clock. Okay. Good morning. I just put up before you come in that we would like you, each of you, to identify, one priority issues in your basin and discuss among us. See whether we have some experience to exchange to either to, well, I would be either to solve the problem or some ideas, some ways to mitigate the problems. Anyone have can volunteer to be the first? Hi.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Yep.
I guess I might just go first. I guess our major one is rather a common one. Given my presentation yesterday, but as I had explained, that one big issue is that Samoa relies heavily on groundwater, as our lake basins are a little too far and a little too small to supply the local population with drinking water. So given that we rely heavily on the water that comes from the springs and the river channels, the biggest problem we have so far is would be that of the migration of people to rural areas where there is existential river channels, and with that we have huge problems of farming near river channels, development as well as pollution. So a lot of human practices are more of the problem that we face here. A lot of people don't exactly take into consideration the importance of our river channels and how we're all connected to it from the ridge to the reef. So basically, the number one problem would be either illegal dumping or farming. Given that a lot of farming does happen in the rural areas, the use of pesticide chemicals, farming chemicals are used within land use practices, and further they'll taint the water inside the river channels. Apart from that, it would be apart from that, it would be the development within the rural areas. A lot of people are repopulating up into the highlands near local rivers and lakes. So with the development that happens there, it destabilizes the structure in the ground. Therefore, it'll leave more vulnerability to that of landslides and such and such.
I can't believe that you have a pollution, because look at your presentation yesterday. It's very hard to believe that you have a big pollution problem. Huh?
Oh, you have to go further into detail with when you see the actual pollution that happens here. I do apologize. I hope I do get another chance to
Yeah. What kind of pollution is it? Is it something to do apart from pesticides, not other chemicals? And
yeah, there have been reports of construction companies actually polluting, dumping a lot of their unused materials into the lakes, as well as so much even to using the river channels to wash their own vehicles, and with that they'll dispose of the vehicle liquids, I'd say, into the river channels. So that'll eventually come all the way back down to the low-lying coastal areas.
any feedback from friends? Hello. This is also something to do with public awareness, isn't it? I mean.
Oh yes, sir. It's definitely our biggest problem with public awareness. I guess as Samoans, typically being quite hard-headed people, is it go through one ear and come out the other.
Okay, I see. But not everyone is as good at Thai boxing like you, eh?
Oh, a lot better than I am.
Other colleagues have any feedback on that? Any comments on that? But you mentioned also that even the law, you hate to begin with the law enforcement, right? You prefer to negotiate or to teach the people rather than hard measure.
Yes, sir. As it's proven that it never ends positively once we enforce such hard measures.
Yeah, I agree with that. But this is all this problem to do with the Samoan themselves, not the people from abroad, right? Not the international investor.
I can say a lot of the issues that we have with the pollution of farming would come from the local communities. There have been some cases before I actually started working here where we had a bit of a problem with the I don't like saying it, but the Chinese embassy, they were in construction, and a lot of their hard materials that they weren't using were dumped in the main, I guess to say our CBD's main river channel.
Hmm. Okay. Any other volunteer to give some talk? You have anything to talk about if the Samoan problem or in Cambodia? Are you there? Nathan,
Yes, sir.
you have anything to comments on Tamui's problem issues or
Yes, sir.
yourself or Philippines or whatever?
Um, I feel like it's almost the same issues here in with what Perry said. With the people basically living along river channels, because here in the Philippines, particularly in the metro, the um along the river channels, there are houses like really crowded informal settlers. And what the government is doing is to relocate these people. But let's say you relocate them today, they're gonna be back in a couple of days. So it's yeah, almost having the same issue.
Hmm.
Like really hard-headed people.
So it's something to do with a lot of people doing something illegally, but we don't want to use a hard measure with the people.
Yes, sir.
Look familiar with. Actually, it also happened here in Thailand. But
Yeah, because the pollution mainly comes from them.
yeah,
They just dump their wastes
yeah.
in along the channel.
Maybe it's true that most people mention that in our country, I mean, you and mine, yours and mine, we tend to give priorities to people than more than the well, we try to solve this poverty problem and try to get along with people. Put this in higher priority compared with saving the environment, which I don't know whether it's good in the long run, but looks like we are in the same shoes. Okay, since not any other have any thing to discuss about this? So I move to the next thing that I want to discuss with you. This. Okay, I want to discuss with you about this mathematical models. It was it's not just a math model, but the reason I bring this up because it resemble it resemble what we are doing with the climate change issues. It's a model that predict or forecast the future of humanities. When big problems are now perceived, the problem is so big and so severe and so threatening that it looks like there's no way to get out of this, just like climate change. But this model was developed 50 years ago with other problems. Okay, well, this masterpiece was initiated by the Club of Rome. But the Club of Rome is a group of people, a group of, well, forward-looking people, a group of leading businessmen, leading engineers, medical doctors, thinkers, professors, and some government officers, you know. But there aren't many of them. There weren't about 30 or 40 of these people. And they had a conference and they would discuss many things. And they came up with a big question, a quest for future of humanities. You see what the impacts of this, the growth of population. At that time, at 1970, there were about 4 billion people and about 2% or so growth, 1.9 to 2 or something like that. And the development, how far that can go, what the resource, the natural resource can support them, what will be need to sustain the world economic and population growth until, well, they're talking about the year 2000 and maybe beyond. Well, I put in here in the yellow inset down below the more detailed version of the problems that they come up with. They call it the project Predicament of Mankind. And the objective is try to examine the complex of the problems troubling men of all nations. To name a few, the poverty in the midst of plenty. Seems like a problem we have today too. The degradation of environment, the loss of faith in institutions, the uncontrolled urban spread, the insecurity of employment, alienation of youth, rejection of traditional values, economic disruption. See, all these problems were perceived by this group of forward-looking people, as I said, in Club of Rome. And after they formulate this research questions, so to speak, so they search for people who can find some ways to solve this big problem. The problem is so big, as you can see. So they approached Professor Meadows at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, who formed the team, research team, and tried to develop. Well, as you see, the problem is so difficult. You're talking about solving the problem for 4 billion people on the planet, and see what will happen, given the situation that there are 4 billion at that time, and they're growing at 2% each year, and a lot of development going on, a lot of consumption. So the Professor Meadows and the team developed the model called World 3 in 1970. And the model, well, models is, well, look at it today, it looks like a simple model, but it was a great, one of the greatest model at that time. So the model was based on the actual data in 1900 to 1970. Well, that's the best he can do, because he developed this model in 1970 and tried to forecast scenario until the year 2100, until the end of next century, or this century now, next century then. So the input parameters include, look simple, like population, non-renewable resources, and food supplies. But mind you that this is the global model. So this is a lump parameters for population of, you have so many males, so many females, different occupations, different ability of consumption. And you have non-renewable resources. At that time, you focus on a lot of minerals, iron, copper, etc. And you talk about fossil fuels, gasoline, oil, etc. Food supplies. So you talk about a lot, how many, the grains, vegetables, a lot of cows, pigs, fishes, whatever, for producing food supply, land, fertilizer. So you plug in a lot of these input into the model, come out with the output. Output would be the death rate, the growth rate, which end up with the population growth, the food supply, okay? Because population has to live on food and other amenities, which be the products of industries. And together with all the food and industrial outputs are something that undesirable, which is pollution, okay? So the model have this input and output. The model generated several scenarios, but I pick up here, well, actually in the book for limits to growth, I pick up here three scenarios to show you here. Actually, with the model, I think he can generate as many scenarios as he got time, hundreds. But he had in his book he had 12 scenarios published in his book, and I pick up 3 of them here. And it's called Business as Usual, Technology Assisted and Stabilized World. Now, the result, briefly, if you hypothesize that the world will go, the human on 4 billion people on Earth will lead their life as business as usual scenario. You eat that much food, you drive such a car, and you work, you go to school, you go to work, etc. The population will the model forecasts that the population and wealth will grow, because you don't control population, you let it go by business as usual. The both population and wealth will grow, will increase. So that makes the consumption increase. When the consumption increase, the resource decrease. Okay, that's simple. Well, this is the main point. The resource deplete or decrease. Well, when the resource deplete up to the point, you have to allocate most of the resource to the point where you most need it, which is food. So most of the resource will come to produce food. See this line here is the resource. Resource will drop down. See, he has the data from year 1900 to about 1970, about here. So according to this, if the life goes on according to business as usual, the model predicts that the resource will drop abruptly to the point that you have no more resource to support your living, so you have to allocate everything into food. So when you put everything into food, you have less resource to produce other amenities. So you have probably fewer cars, you can make fewer television, you can make fewer roads, including fewer health facilities. So the death rate will climb up, while at some point the death rate will be equal to the birth rate. And at some point the death rate is more than exceed the birth rate. And at that point, the population tends to decline almost abruptly. Well, when you say about declining of the population, that means it's undesirable. It's almost, we can call that almost the collapse of humanities. So the model did not identify the exact date, but the model predict that it's somewhere in between 2000 and 2100. in this century, we will hit the point that if you go to the conclusion is that if you move by business as usual scenario, you end up with depletion of resources to the point that you have no resources to support humanity anymore. Okay, at some point in the middle of century. Now, if you adjust the model a little bit, call it technology assisted scenario. In this scenario, we hypothesize that you have technology getting advanced, it's getting improved so much that there's no energy and material constraints. Mind you that at that time, in 1970, you have very little idea about renewable energy you have today. Solar energy, there was the solar energy, there was the wind energy, windmills, but the cost of solar energy at that time probably 1,000 times more than today, and the windmill is so produce so much less kilowatt hours than today. But this group of researchers foresee that try to hypothesize that if there is some possibility to increase the capability of energy and material energy to start with. So you have no limit on energy, you have excessive energy. You can produce as much energy as you want. And that implies that you can explore and you can dig the minerals from the ground. So that make you, when you talk about material at that time, mostly you focus on minerals. So you have no energy constraints, no material constraints. So there's no limit of industrial and food production. So you'll be glad that you have population growth, you have wealth increase, you consume more, you can produce as much as you want, but you forgot one thing, that you have pollution, and pollution will increase to the point that you can consume as much as you want, you can produce as much as you want, because you have excessive energy, you have a lot of materials, but you end up with pollution. Pollution is would increase so much that you have to allocate, whether in the first model, remember, you have to allocate most of the resource to production, but production of food. But in this model, in this scenario, you have to allocate most of the resources to combat pollution. So pollution itself impacts on your living, on your health. And again, you have to divert all the resources to combat pollution, which means that pollution will increase to the point that it affects the livelihood, the living, the health of the population and humanities, and the population will decline even faster than the first scenario. So both of these scenarios are not acceptable. So that leaves only one preferred scenario, the stabilized world. If in this scenario, Meadows hypothesized that the population, if the population is stabilized, keeping about the same level, at that time means about 4 or 5 billions. So the food production and industrial production, for food production means food. So industrial production means everything else beyond food. You can build houses, roads, amenities in your house, cars, and etc. So pollution is also under control, because so you have stabilized population, you have stabilized consumption, you have stabilized production, and you have controllable pollution. So stabilized world will prevail. So this would be, according to the modelers, would be the best solution as it can give bring humanity to sustainability pathway. So that end up with the three models out of 12 models in limits to growth book. Now, as you see, although despite of this warning that you're gonna be dead, humanity is gonna collapse, go to tipping point with these two scenarios, and with this stabilized scenario, we only way to let us go to sustainability. But, well, a lot of people believe in this. There are a lot of environmental organizations happening in about that time, 1970, 1980. A lot of individuals follow this take this warning and adapt the way of life. But in a global level, seems like we still in the business as usual pathway. I mean, population now increased to about almost 8 billion. And the way everybody lead their life, they're looking for more prosperity all the time. People try to make the best they can out of what they have, and some people live beyond their means, and the whole world seems to be following this. This is quite familiar when you look at what we are trying to solve, the climate change now. We know what is in front of us. It's next to something irreversible, but we still moving moving there without any. Well, we are afraid of it, but without much adaptation. Well, Director Suwan will attend the meeting the end of this year, COP26, COP26, if I'm not mistaken. Well, that means we'll be talking about reduction of carbon dioxide, and we talking about reduction of temperature for about so many years, 26 years already, or 25 years. This is 26 years, and there's still every year we had COP meeting. The number for carbon dioxide concentration increase, the temperature is also increase, and we still trying to get. We still talking about it every day, just like this. And there seem to be even until now, there seem to be no real solution for this, because we trying to. This boils down to, if I can compare this and climate change, boils down to the point that we live beyond our means, or for individual, or for organization. That means we don't respect the carrying capacity of the earth. We use the resource beyond what we should, After this, the development of this model, people try to work on the footprint, the ecological footprint, trying to prove this and confirm that we are now beyond what the nature allow us to use already. So yeah, I just blow this up a little bit, seeing that in 1970, this is the problem in 1970. that that they had before they try to come up with this model. The poverty in the problem they had that time, the poverty in the midst of plenty. See this inequality. I mentioned this because climate change is just one of the many problems we are facing. But of course, now everybody focus on climate change as a main problems. But actually, around that we still have problem of inequality. We still have problem of degradation of environment. We still have loss of faith in institutions. The demonstrations occur in many places around the world. This uncontrolled urban spread. This is absolutely happening everywhere. Insecurity of employment is exacerbated by the COVID-19. Alienation of youth. I bet this is felt already by a lot of older people. Rejection of traditional values and economic disruption and so forth. Anyone have any question on that? Limit to close. Any comments, Arthur? Before I go to other. Anyone have any question? Otherwise, I think this is a good place to take a break for about 10 minutes, and you come back in 10 minutes. And if unless you have question now, quick question now. Hello.
Hi,
Okay.
sir.
Yes.
Yeah, you presented, sir, the graphs. It was simulated back in 1970s.
Yes.
Is it still does it hold true until today? I mean, are the factors still applicable?
The model didn't take into account many things. See, first the model didn't say anything about climate change. But when I say it's resemble climate change, because pollution at that time was they talked about water pollution, air pollution. Air pollution would be something like dust, you know, a smog, or and that's about it. Ozone maybe another air pollution, but not climate change. And they talk about water pollution, organic. They didn't even have plastic in 1970. Remember? Right, 1970. They were plastic still in the lab. I remember. I first saw the plastic in about 1975, and then a lot of things are different. But the thing is, what as I said, the common is that people then do something beyond the carrying capacity of the planets. Like now, so they come up with many problems, and they're trying to solve by trying to stabilize the population, but they didn't do so. Again, the same here. We also polluting the air with carbon dioxide. And we at that time we probably didn't realize that the atmosphere has a certain capacity to absorb carbon dioxide, and we've been talking about capping at like some 400 ppm for many years, and now it already exceeded, and still we couldn't do anything. That's a common thing between the two. The second thing that the model didn't take into account was the diversity of different nations. See, at that time, when they talk about prosperity, I think they focus on, but not I think, I'm really sure. They only know the only prosperous nation are Europe and United States. Outside there would be Japan, Australia, New Zealand, maybe, and South Africa, maybe, but they didn't include China. So now, if you do the model again, I would urge any one of you, if you like to do model, that kind of model again, you have to consider the uprising nations. So when the 1400 million, 1400 million, right? 1.4 billion people from China, when the GDP come up, and you can imagine how many houses, how many cars that you need to provide. That even make the problem even more difficult to solve. And then India, at that time, India and China in 1970 still developing countries, but now they're wealthy enough to consume as many as people in Europe and United States, which were included in the model at that time. So those are the few things that the model didn't take into account. But the nature of the model, to me, is still applicable. But of course, everything will change according to the world, the situation of the world we are having now. Yes, and but the problems, as I said in the in the slides that I mentioned, the problem about the same, but of course the starting point are different, and the input entirely different, because we have different types of materials that we need for producing food. Of course, food is different now from 1970. We have real food that time. Now we have increased a lot of food, something unnaturally. We modify genetically the food process. So those are the different things that if you repeat the model now, you have to change all the input parameters. So I don't know what the output would be, but that's the way. Yes, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Because I was thinking about the same thing. Maybe we can have like an updated version of the graphs, or even add or modify some of it.
Yeah, I don't know whether anyone would. Well, I haven't heard of anyone that want to repeat this kind of model. It is not an easy, very difficult. But mind you that in 1970, the computer he had in MIT is even less capable than your mobile phone. The memory and everything is even less than your mobile phone. The computer of each university at that time. But I think they're clever to predict that kind of model, which seems to be true. If at least it gives the right direction, and amazingly that the point that indicate, well, near collapse of mankind if we don't do anything, it's about the same. It's about well, in the model it predict something of in the order of 2050, in the mid halfway between 2000 and 2100, and now we are worrying about what's happening in about middle of century also, if we don't do anything. But we wait until more stringent measure, which will be discussed every year. This year they'll do that in Glasgow, right? Right, Suwanna, they will discuss about this in Glasgow. I heard that Director Suwanna will attend that. But as I said, they've been discussing about this every year. But hopefully, up till now, the Paris Agreement probably beyond reach now. Yes. Any other comments? Feedback? Hi, you back? Everybody is back. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. I think it's a good point that after I discuss about living limits to growth model, which predicts the, I don't want to call collapse, but it's just a warning that we are going to the pathway of unsustainability. So I think it's a good point that I start with the sufficiency economy. I don't know whether anyone heard about it, sufficiency economy. Because
Not yet, sir.
okay. Anyway, it starts here in Thailand. And it maybe nobody, not many people, even in Thailand, have a good feeling about it until the time when we had an economic crisis. So you see, things like this happen, you know, like either limit to growth pathway, either the pathway that we're going to the collapse by climate change, even the pathway that we're going to the collapse in economics. We tend not to change our behavior to fit with the better pathway that prevent us from that disaster. So this is, I show you example. So this philosophy is based on fundamental principle of the Thai culture. I would say this Thai culture means probably the baby boomers and the generation X, but not the kids today, because the kids today they rely on their parents' money, so they probably have different way of thinking. But most of the Thai people in the past until recently, they have this kind of fundamental principle. So the principle is trying to aiming at creating the balance and stabilize development at all levels. So this is actually confirmed by the people in the UN that it go in line with sustainability pathway. So from individual to society at large, by developing ability to cope with critical challenges arising from changes in materialism, social, environmental, and cultural conditions of the world. So this came into prominence during 1997 economic crisis. As I said, we didn't realize, we didn't want to believe in the philosophy that control our life until we hit the crisis like this. Okay, remember this graph that I showed you the other day, where that the pathway of development of this basin, this Songkhla Lake Basin, which, well, is probably the miniature of the whole country. So I superimpose this GDP graph onto the development of the basin, which is actually the GDP growth of Thailand. But Thailand has been commended, with the development pathway, so that we increase our wealth from $100 per person per year till today. We have almost 8,000. Well, 8,000 last year, almost 8,000 last year, and now with the COVID, we dropped to about just over 7,000, which is a lot of money. And but next year, I think it will go down a bit further, because we already lost last year about 15% of our income from the tourism. Well, anyway, this is the point that I want to show you. In about 1997. 1997, yeah. I think some of you recall it when we enjoyed the double-digit growth about that time. You know, that the Thailand was commended during that time, until the day that we sort of what we call overheat our economy up until 1997, and it drops to, I don't know, you're talking about 30% of GDP, which means a lot of banks collapse, getting bankrupted. So at this point, the government adopt the sufficiency economy into the National Development Plan from 1997. I think it's about the ninth. We have National Plan 1 at about 1955, and then this is about 1997. So it's about National Plan 9. So from there on, we adopt the philosophy, the king's, we call it king's philosophy, King Rama the Ninth philosophy of sufficiency economy into our development plan. That means we have to follow the what's it said in there, which I will elaborate it further. But anyway, during that time, so after that, we have secured ourselves. About this time, about 2005, actually, though, the whole world again confront with another economic crisis. The first economic crisis started in Thailand. We call it Tom Yam Kung crisis. You heard of Tom Yam Kung crisis, okay? Because Tom Yam Kung is the Thai food. But here at 2005, it started in United States. They call it hamburger crisis. And the Thai economy was not affected at all, because we strengthened all the banking financial system with this sufficiency economy. Now I just show you, and after that we, now the whole world growing up at, well, not double digit this time, but it go very steep. So okay. I want to elaborate a little bit about sufficiency economy. So the concept, the principle stresses importance of adopting middle path. Well, when you talk about middle path, it seems like similar to Buddhist economy. So at all level of society, so it works for individual, it works for family, for community, and the whole nation. The whole nation means, as I said, you have to implement that through the financial system and investment system in development and administration in order to modernize in line with the advance of globalization to avoid extreme thought. So you have to go with this principle of middle path. You go with the moderation, comprise three components of moderation, reasonableness, and self-immunity. So by moderation, we means not too much, not too little. It's not strictly frugal. You can spend, if you richer, you can spend more, but it should be permitted. But it should be moderate according to one's means. It's not too much, not too small. If you say you have to be frugal, then the richer people tends to not to believe in this philosophy. So with reasonableness requires that the choice we make is justifiable with some, rational approaches, legal principle. This applies also to the banking system, financial system, more values, social norms. And you have to develop self-immunity that to emphasize to build in resilience. This also go in line with the new way of controlling yourself against the uncertainty of the future risk. Well, when I say immunity to change in materialism society, this is to elaborate change in materialism and having enough saving to cover expense for a long period, having sufficient insurance, engaging in long-term planning, and immunity to social change to try to develop sense of inner peace, controlling, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So yeah, that's about point. I think I have to stop here. If I go with other issues, then it's gonna be beyond the time. So I would like to stop here, and if we have any if you have any remarks or any question on this sufficiency economy, you can ask me now, and otherwise we'll stop here and then come back in about 5 minutes to get some preparation, and then we'll go to the actual closing ceremony. In the closing ceremony, we would like you to turn on your camera, and we will take photo together. Everyone is here, right? Nathan, Suwan, Arunan. Any questions on these issues? See, this is, as I said, the sufficiency economy principle has been in the Thai national plan since 1997, has been embedded in the national plan since then, and it really strengthened the Thai economy system. But of course, the pandemic is so severe that it probably cannot take care of everything.
Hello, Chatchai.
Yes.
My comment, I think, before ending of the project of this meeting.
Yes.
Once I'm thinking of the word of Mahatma Gandhi of India.
Yes.
He said that nearly 70 years ago that resource in the world is enough for human, for everybody need, but not enough for everyone greedy. So, well, I think everybody live under the basic need of human life. We probably can live up to 1,000 years, therefore not really what do you call collapse of humanity. So if we try to live under the world resort that have limited world resort under the word enough for basic need, but not for greed, we probably can live longer. Well, the other one from Darwin law. he said that in the past that offspring, life on Earth produce more offspring or more baby than individual, or more than being what you call dead. Produce more and more. So eventually, the life have to what do you call struggle for existence. Fight to live by adapting themselves one way or the other. under limit resorted. If they want to leave, they've got to adapt themselves, you know. That's what I think, you know, because for me, what you lecture, even the economy, even the resort is so complex, you know, not really the best scenario. What I saw from your lecture. Eventually, human being have to adapt themselves, you know, to live on Earth, and not forget that resort in the world, resort on Earth enough for human need. That's what Mahatma Gandhi he said, but not enough for human greed. If we want to live longer, that's from my point of view. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone have any remarks on that? Dr. Nuparat mentioned about Gandhi teaching that most of the great thinker of the world mentioned similar thing, because it then boils down to that we tend to live beyond our means. See, if we follow that teaching, you know, if you know that it enough for everybody needs, but not their greeds. Well, if they're greedy, well, what people try to be greedy in the sense that they try to get a bit more than others, and that causes a lot of problem. So if we live in our means. So another point that Dr. Nuparat mentioned is the adaptation of the living. So now looks like, although we get to the point that we are in trouble of well, now climate change, now it's carbon dioxide, now it's temperature increase and sea level rise and so forth. And what we have now, we try to use technology. So now depends, we seem to get no better solution than a good innovation to solve this problem. Otherwise, we don't know how to get the carbon dioxide back from the whole Earth. You know, it's next to impossible. But now there are a lot of innovation try to absorb that carbon dioxide. But I don't know whether that would be feasible. But we have to do something. And reports after reports of IPCC coming up. Well, IPCC used to issue reports every 6 years, and now they almost issue special report every year. And I don't know, from now on, the reports seem to be coming more frequent. Director Suwanna, you have any? Only Director Suwanna that I know that he's going to attend the COP26 the end of this year. You have any updates on that? Director Tak Suwanna? Maybe it's not there. But as I said, it seems like we know, we've been informed everything about climate change, and all we can do now is clicking every morning, see what's the temperature today and what's the carbon dioxide today, and we look at the techniques to combat against this, and there seems to be nothing. Only thing we can do now is accept the fact that we have to mitigate to reduce the impact. All we can do now is to change from fossil fuel to renewable energy, but seem like we're not getting there yet. We're not getting to the point that we cannot we have to live with all this amenities that we have. We still need to travel. We still need vehicles, but all we can do is to reduce the fossil fuel, to get rid of fossil fuels and try to use something else. But we don't care what makes the car, because there got to be somebody else somewhere making the automobiles for us, even the EV car. And that EV car is made by some other energies. Well, anyway, any other remarks, comments?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Pardon? Yes. Now I will have one brief topic for a few minutes since we have time, and after this we would like you to have to express some reflection of the training a bit, and then we go to closing ceremony. Now, another thing I want to share with you to go along with what we already have said is yeah, just a brief mention on since I already I prepare several things, but if I go too many topics, then it will exceed the time. But this is briefly I want to share with you. เสียงได้ยินไหม You hear me? Okay. You hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I just mentioned that this time, the year, this decade, to 2021, and then during the next 10 years, the World Economic Forum claimed that this is the time for they call it the Great Reset. Actually, when they developed this idea, the extent of the COVID impact was not this much. It's still in Wuhan, in China, a very small number. Well, at that time, not small number. It's almost 100,000 infected people, but not now, not 400 million now. They said during this time, during this decade, we are forced to change. I mean, 10 or 20 years ago, we predict a lot of change in the whole world, that we said the world will, what's happening is dynamic. The problem is so dynamic, so complex. and we have to combat with climate change. We have to cope with disruptive technology and so forth. But now we have to do this. We are forced to change without any choice. Natural disaster that we've been predicting for some time, it came earlier, much earlier than anticipated. 10 years ago, when there was a typhoon or hurricane, you have to wait for 30 years until the scientists will go back to statistical analysis and call this is a normal what they call it, climatic fluctuation, and this event is a climate change impact. But now you don't need 30 years. You wait no time, because this year you have disaster almost the whole Europe, including China, including everywhere. Well, a few days ago we had the eruption in Spain. Things like this occur almost every month rather than every 10 or 20 years. But on the other hand, we have lots of technology. This is adaptation. Well, as Dr. Noprat just mentioned, we have a lot of technology. We have a lot of innovation. We have robot, we have artificial intelligence, we have Internet of Things, we have machine to machine, etc., etc. We have a lot of technology, which improve quality of life and longevity. Of course, this improving of quality of life, longevity, the innovation, this innovation coincidentally with the natural disaster, but sometimes may lead to conflicts. Okay, so we are now at a crossroad. Okay, we are now at a crossroad. I repeat, we come to the junction that we have a beautiful and livable world ahead, or we can go to collapse. So we have choices whether we can change our living style and so forth, or we just go ahead as business as usual. So we can design the changes. I just give you one example. Urbanization. That we had a lecture on urbanization the other day. That urbanization came from mostly in the whole world. We mostly it's called urban sprawl, which is spread without any plan, without any direction. So, but now we are forced to do it. We had to work from home. We had to work from home because of the COVID, because of the pandemic. And we now realize that sometimes if we do it right, the work from home style can sometimes improve our productivity. But the point is not all people have such adaptive capabilities. Some people live with, no internet problems. Some, especially students, some people or some students have not that capabilities, not enough equipment, good equipment. So, but now for us, for you and me, normally when we want to buy a house, we have to compromise between proximity of the workplace. See, people like us, we would like good quality of life, to live in good quality of life, a place where we can have good quality of life, but nothing we can do with, we have to transport, we have to travel. So nothing we can do. We have to compromise between this, the workplace proximity and the quality of life. At the end of the day, the city become so large because everybody lump into the city. So you have to expand the city like forever. Look at Bangkok, look at Manila, look at Jakarta, But from now on, maybe you are, if you can design the change from now on, you don't need to live in a big city anymore. You can live anywhere you want. You can choose. You don't have to compromise this anymore, because you get everything get connected through other means. Without a car, you can get connected. You can go to the big city for other things, for pressure in the weekends, but you can work from home. So you can, this is an example that urbanization or urban design can change, with this, if you know how to change it in a productive way. So another thing is the possible return of extended families. Right now, if you have a family of, many children, so you have many brothers and sisters, everybody have to work in many places. But now we realize that extended families reduce a lot of problems. You have connected between the grandma and grandpa until the grandkids. And that's not possible because everybody has to work in many places. But now you reduce that kind of necessity, so you can bring back the concept of extended families, which has been lost in many places, including Thailand, and probably many in your countries, I suppose, because we need to, everybody has to go and get a work for money. Then you have to compensate that by splitting all the families, or the brother and sister. And then when you work from home, for example, and you can find out your other talents may surface, without knowing, which never exists before, when you have to go to work at 9 to 5 in the office every week, like we used to do in the past. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. I think I really end here. So I go back to meet you. Stop sharing. Yes. Now, could you please turn on your camera? See your smart and handsome face. Okay. Hello, Turalingham. Hello, Tak Tuan. Hello, Nathan. เดี๋ยวถ่ายรูปอีกทีได้ไหม Can you take camera when Hello, Dr. Noprat. Yes, so we can get together.
Hello.
We can. Tumai, are you in a car?
Oh, yes,
me.
sir.
Ah, where are you going? Where are you going?
I just got off of work. I was gonna drive home, but I parked on the side of the road.
How far is your home from work?
It's about 12 minutes drive.
Ah. See now, I mean, sometimes work from home or work from the car, or everything, it's more productive, and you can do many things at the same time.
Yeah, luckily
Yeah.
for technology.
Yeah, when I'm here, when in the past, when I have a meeting in Bangkok, I have to travel for 2 days. I have to fly tonight and come back tomorrow night, and then I only had 1 hour meeting, but now I can have 3 meetings in the same day.
Oh, you guys are lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Anyway, Arun. Now I call you Arun, Mr. Arun, Mr. Morning. See, the Thai people, most of the Thai people have similar. Most of the names have root from Sanskrit and Bali, so I can recognize, people from Cambodia, people from Nepal, people from Sri Lanka. Most of it. Anyway, so if you have anything you want to say, by the way, the dean is now out of town, and he asked me to say something on his behalf for the closing, because he's traveling now. He's probably in the same situation as Tumai. He's probably in the car, and he's not in a situation where he get a good connection all the time. So he asked me to say something. But before I say something, I want you to say something. If you have any reflection on any feeling for the seminar, please, anyone. Doesn't have to be all of you, some of you, if you want. Or you have any suggestion?
Okay, I want to say something.
Yes.
The end of the training course, and on behalf of participants and Cambodian people, I would like to thank all the lecturers and all the coordination and our participants that attend to this training course. That this training course is provide us a lot of knowledge and experience from different countries, different situations in the world. And especially I thank ITCA that provide the very useful training course, and especially Dr. Chatchai, that is coordinator, that strongly that provide us a good idea and good concept and a good concept to be implement our job and our country, that we can take this experience on or lesson learned from participant and from lecture to implement in our country, in our department. And thank you all of you. Thank you very much. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Other want to say something?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to. I think I may be one of the youngest ones in in our class, but I did want to give my sincerest thanks for letting someone from such a faraway small island to participate in this training, especially online. I understand that had this happened without COVID, I'd be there right now, but it is what it is. But I am very excited to take what I've learned here and apply it not only to my work, but just as of this morning, I was notified by the CEO to give a summary presentation on everything I learned here. So a lot more credit. So just a big thanks to everybody, especially for the lectures that were specifically in my field with geoinformatics and urban planning. It really opened my eyes into how little I knew about what I thought I specialized in, and it's something to look deeper into now.
Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. It's all applicable. Any others?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yes. Suralingam?
Yes. Before the training period, I heard that the trainings from our training branch. Then I apply for this training program. That time I feel that training program through the online is not effective. But after this join the program, only I feel from this training program we learn a lot. That especially that the country report section is very good, effective. We can learn about that other country situation and other countries' experience. Therefore, I feel this that course contents is very effective and very good. Then I recommend other people also for this type of training from Thailand. Okay,
Thank you. Thank you. Aruna, we want to. Aruna, looks like you are in the space. your background looks like you are traveling in the space.
Yes, the world already did that now, that USA. Normal people travel to the space. Travelers go to the space, you know. Can you hear me?
Intermittently, but I can hear you.
Okay, I would like to thank all the staff and behalf of the Sri Lanka government. And I also taught this course with the online platform. It was successful before I joined this course. But now I think that it is very successful in this platform. But the thing is that if we go there and learn this kind of thing, we can exchange the cultural things between us also in your country. The cultural things Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, intermittently, but I can
Yes.
understand.
If we have a chance, because of this COVID pandemic, we haven't chance. If we have a chance to visit Thailand,
Yes.
we have a chance to exchange our cultural things. You know that society cultural things. In this platform, we haven't that kind of chance. But the other things is academic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Thank you. Nathan, if you have anything to say?
Yes, sir. First of all, I want to thank your university and also Taika for giving me this opportunity. This is my first time attending such training in collaboration with another country. So I am truly grateful for this opportunity. And also want to thank my colleagues, my co-participants. I learned a lot from them as well. They're from their countries, like what they do and their issues. So I also thank them. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. Shall we take a photo now? Ulubek, here he is. Ulubek? Hi.
Yes, I'm here.
Could you please turn on your camera?
Just a minute, please.
Okay. Now everybody express some reflect the feeling about the course. If you would like to say something before we close this.
Yes, can I?
Yes,
can I
please.
Chatchai?
Yes, please. Why
Yes,
not?
I'm as a what do you call it, lecturer or not? I'm not quite sure. It's a good opportunity for us, to share knowledge and experience from different area of the world. Unfortunately, this kind of meeting we have participants from different time zone. This caused a little bit of what do you call a problem. However, all of this lecture, I would say that from my, on PISWOM, it can be seen or it provided on the YouTube. Now, probably hundreds of people visited my lecture on the first few days.
Yes.
That's pretty good, This can be shared or can be distributed to other people and other group too. In not only our group. I would say that pretty interesting. Anything missing on the lecture missing? Our participant can see from YouTube. I think because from my lecture it show already on YouTube. I'm very lucky to know you all. Hope that we can work together in the future again. Thank you very much. That's from my comments. Okay.
Thank you. Ulubek.
Yes, Mr. Professor.
You want to say something?
Yes, I want to say that I'm very happy and grateful to be participating in such an event, and I can say that I gained many new knowledge also about the basin management in South Asian countries like Cambodia, Thailand, and also we heard some and other countries. I want to thank you for organizing such an event. I want to thank all this communication staff that are helping us to organize these Zoom meetings. And from my side, I can say that I am very open to all questions hope we will see each other somewhere in someday in future by face to face, and we can discuss more issues about water management in our countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. You want to take a photo first, or let me talk first? อะไรก่อนผมพูดก่อนนะหรือถ่ายก่อน So you take a photo now. Let them take a photo now. Then we can say something about on behalf of the dean. Now, please. Okay, smile. Okay. Okay.
1, 2, 3, smile, please.
Okay. Oh, look back. Why you close your camera? Okay. Again. I think we lost a look back. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you got it. Thank you. Well, now come to an end. I have to wear another hat. I have to say something on behalf of the. Oh, Aruna, want to take another style of picture. Can you take another photo? Aruna want to do something. Okay, good. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, as I said, coming to the end. So on behalf of the dean, I'd like to thank you all for your active participation. We hope the past 3 weeks training have been informative, fruitful, and enjoyable. Hope the knowledge, subject matters, and share knowledge and experience are useful. I understand that the ingredients of the program have been well selected and carefully integrated. Hope they will contribute to your current and future work. In addition, we hope that the past 3 weeks together, although in a virtual conference room, have brought about acquaintance and friendships which could be useful in our future career. Thanks to the current IT, social media, email, and the rest of it, they can help us to get connected. Being the same profession with the same goal and passion, we can, who knows, we can come across each other sometime in the future. Should condition permits, the planet reopens, we hope to be able to welcome you in a real persons in the future. Finally, we would like to thank all the lecturers, invited lecturers, and including people behind the scene, the active audio-visual and secretary team, who together contribute the success of this program. Last but not least, we thank to TICA, the Thailand International Cooperation Agency, for sponsoring this program to make it all happen. Thank you. Until we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. It was nice meeting you guys.
Thank you.
Hope to see you guys in the future.
Hopefully, we hope the COVID will get away as soon as possible.
Our Facebook page, what happened there? Facebook page. Our Facebook page.
Oh, yes. Do we have a Facebook page?
Oh, right. I want a Facebook. Did you say?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, sir. I'm not on social media, but if it's for this class, then yeah, I'll create another. I'll create a Facebook page.
See, that's a good thing. We already created the Facebook, but maybe if you like some other things, could you, if you create some other thing like WhatsApp, you know, depending on what you prefer, we please including us, some of us, so that we can join. I mean, Urukbek suggests that first suggests that we should create.
How about our certificate? How we can get certificate for the
certificate? Certificate. We will connect to. We will ask Taika. Taika will do it.
Okay. Thank you.
So the Taika officer is already on the screen already with us.
Okay,
so
thank you very much.
He's now informed already.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. See you next time, and after COVID, we
Okay.
can see you
See
in
you next
Bangkok.
time. Surely, surely.
Bangkok. Thank you.
I-
Bye.
you come to Bangkok often?
Yeah. I maybe 3 or 5 times per year.
Okay, except during this COVID, eh?
Yeah, and then now in COVID, we cannot go there.
Yeah. Send my regard to Visit.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
We work with Visit during the past MRC project.
Okay, in the Lace Up and
Yes.
SoundCloud, yeah.
Yes, please send our regards to him.
Okay. Okay, see you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you guys. Thank you everyone. Hope to see you guys in Samoa soon.
Oh, surely, Samoa. I love to go there. I never seen it until yesterday.
I'll buy the first round.
Okay. I think you have a meeting this afternoon, right? With John? With Chow this afternoon? I don't know, but I'm not here.
A second session?
Chow will have a meeting with you. I don't know. I think.
Oh, okay, sir.
Check with him. Okay, bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Hope to see you again.
See you again.